Do you ever see YouTube videos or TikToks or YouTube shorts and they give you these really good, insightful tips that you can use in your life that will actually change things for you? And you're like, oh my God, this is killer advice. I should do this. I'm gonna do this. And then you never do it. Or maybe you always say you want to read more or get up earlier or go work out or just do something or be more productive, you feel me? But you never get around to doing it. Why is it that we say things we want to do, but we don't do it? Because for a long time, I was in that situation where I always wanted to do these better things for myself. I always wanted to wake up earlier. I wanted to start my own business. I wanted to write my own book. I wanted to do so many things, but that's all I did. Like, I just said I want to do it, but I never did it. And the only reason why was because I didn't understand two very important things that you've got to understand too. And once you can understand these things, I promise you, you're going to go from the person who always says, I want to do this, but never doing it, to I want to do it, and then actually doing it with these two simple steps, okay? But before we get too deep into that, who am I? My name is Faith, and my goal is to help entrepreneurs, creators, and high achievers reach their goals by teaching you how to take action, stay consistent, and make the goals happen. Alright, so what are the two things you've got to understand if you actually want to do the things you say you want to do? One is planning, and two is motivation. Okay, you have got to understand how to plan and how to motivate yourself. So first, let's dive into how to plan, and then we'll get into how to motivate yourself. And by the end of this video, you will literally go from somebody who always says things to somebody who does things they say. I promise you, okay? And I can say this because I've always wanted to be more athletic. There are clips of me. I walk 100 and run 100 plus miles every single month. I work out. I've always said I want to write books. I've written dozens of workbooks. I've watched my YouTube videos, and I've made over 200 YouTube videos without getting like high views. So like literally, I know how to do the things I say I'm going to do by doing these two simple things. Okay. All right. So number one, planning. When I say plan, I do not mean make a large, advanced, detailed plan, okay? Because those don't work. They're just gonna overwhelm you. They're gonna make you think you're being productive. Because I've gone down that rabbit hole so much where I made these extravagant plans down to the penny, thinking that this is it. But then when it came down to following out the plan, I didn't do it. So you don't want to over plan, okay? But you do want to plan, because planning helps you see when you're going to do what you're going to do. Because it's easy to say, I'm going to do this thing, and then when it's time to do it, when you think about it, you can look at your watch and say, oh, I can do it later, because you have time. And then the night comes, and you're like, why didn't I get started? You didn't get started because you were not specific about when you're going to do it. When you aren't specific about when you're going to do it, you will always push it off, because there'll always be more time. But when you say, no, it has to happen at this time, then it's no more, oh, when I'm going to do it, it's I'm going to do it at this time. Okay, and planning helps with that. So how can you plan without making it just making it too much, and making it something you could actually follow? By following these 4 questions, by answering these 4 questions. The first question is, what will you do? Okay, so let's say you said you want to read more, right? Well, on question 1, you say, I'm going to read 5 pages. Boom, simple. That is so simple. Number 2, when will you do it? Now you can say at a time or after an event. So you can say, I'm going to read 5 pages at 4 p.m., at 12 p.m., at 8 a.m. Or you can do after an event. And this is what I did. I told myself I was going to read after I drank my glass of water in the morning. You can say, I'm going to read after I have breakfast. I'm going to read before I take a shower. So now the things you do normally every day is now linked to reading. So when you think about that thing you're going to do, reading comes to mind. You're like, oh, now it's time to read. All right. Number 3 is, where will you do it? Okay. Are you going to read in your bedroom? Are you going to read in your living room? Are you going to go pull an ebook up on your phone? You have to know where you're going to do it, because when you can see yourself doing it, which this question is designed to help you do, you can see yourself doing it in the room, it's more easier if you do it physically, because the battle is half won when you can see yourself doing it in your head. Alright, and the last question is, how long will you do it? Now this depends, because when you're reading 5 pages of a book, it won't really take that long. But let's say you didn't know how long it would take. You could say, it'll take me 10 minutes to do it. And so now, if I just said I'm going to read, I might not be encouraged to read, because it's like, when do I know it's going to end? But by saying I'm only going to read 10 minutes, 5 minutes, or I'm only going to read however long it takes me to read 5 pages, now it's like I'm more inclined to do it, because I know it's not going to be something that takes so long. I know there's going to be a finish line for me. Alright, so that is the plan. That is the plan. It is so simple, right? It is so simple. You might be thinking, oh, I'm not going to do it because it's not going to work for me. If that's what you're thinking, you are never going to do what you actually say you want to do. You won't do it. Planning is the way to get yourself ready to do it, because when you plan, when you literally say, I'm going to read 5 pages after breakfast in my bedroom for however long it takes to read 5 pages, you will actually do it rather than saying, I'm just going to read. You will actually do it. So please take this advice and make your action plan. It is so simple. It is so simple. A child could do it. And you might be thinking that's below you. I promise you, it's not below you. I do this process every single time I want to do something new. I do this process. I've been doing this process for 3 years, and look where it's gotten me. Alright? So it will get you so far. It will get you so far. Now, step 2 is motivating yourself. Motivating yourself is top tier. And before we get into that, if you've been watching these videos so far, you have not subscribed, what you doing? Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. You know, it's supporting me out. Let me know. Alright, so 2, motivation. Motivating yourself is top tier. If you cannot motivate yourself, it's going to be harder for you to do what you want to do. Of course, you can use discipline, but who wants to use discipline 24/7 all the time? I don't. I only want to use discipline when it's the last option, but I'm always going to rely on motivation. The thing is, you can rely on motivation once you understand how motivation works. So the question is, how does motivation work? Understand this. You as a human, me as a human, we all as humans, are driven away from pain and towards pleasure. That's your motivation. You are driven away from pain and towards pleasure. So you can find something pleasurable to link towards the thing you want to do. It'll be easier for you to be motivated to do it, because now you're not doing it for just the sake of doing the work. You're doing it because you know when you do the work, you can get the reward. Now, the reward can be anything, right? It just has to be something that motivates you, that you intrinsically like to do. So you could say, after I read, I could have a cup of coffee. I like coffee, so now reading isn't something that's a chore I want to avoid. Reading allows me to get the coffee. I love coffee, so I'm gonna go ahead and read to get the coffee. You could say, oh, after I read, I can get on social media. Even though I would not suggest social media as a reward, but for the sake of this example, now it's like, oh, so after I go ahead and read, I can go ahead and watch some funny clips on TikTok. Okay, let's do it. You could say after, or you can have rewards while you're doing the thing. You can link the rewards. So this is called temptation bundling. You could say, while I'm reading, I can listen to Lo-fi because I don't usually get to listen to it, but I love it. So I'm going to be able to listen to the thing I love while listening to reading, but only while listening to reading. So now I'm going to be motivated to read because I get to listen to this thing. And this is something I do a lot, especially when I'm doing deep work or like I'm cleaning up. I always say I can listen to this, a certain soundtrack when I'm doing this, and I'm more motivated to do it because I like the soundtrack. So it's not like I'm doing the hard work just for the hard work. I'm doing the hard work because I get the reward of listening to the soundtrack. But regardless, if you can find the reward and pair it to your plan, it'll make it that much easier for you to do what you say you want to do, like actually do it. I'm going to give you some more examples, rewards, personal examples that I use. When I first got into doing deep work in the morning, I would do 2 hours of hard work, focused work. And the only thing that motivated me to do that every single morning was the reward of breakfast. So it was like after I finished my deep work, I could immediately have breakfast. And because I love breakfast, I love to eat, that motivated me. Because it's like, okay, I just gotta go ahead and get this done. I can have breakfast. Cool. The only reason I've been able to walk 100+ miles every single month is because I rewarded myself by reading a physical book as I'm walking. And why? Because I love physical books. I never really have time to read them. But if I'm walking, you know, that's plenty of time to be able to hold the book up and read. So I love doing that. I go to the library, I get some books, and now every day I'm going out. Like literally, if you saw me walking around my neighborhood, you would see me walking with a book up because I love it. Another thing is with cleaning. I said this earlier, but I told myself if I clean, I can have this soundtrack playing, and I have this really cool soundtrack for silly organisms. I forget the name of it, but I love it. So I'll be cleaning and jamming to that soundtrack. And lastly, another reward I have for myself is when I'm procrastinating or feeling lazy, I'm making YouTube videos. I'll just say if I make this YouTube video, I can have a protein cookie. So like the rewards I just mentioned, they're personal to me, but they're very simple. They're very simple. You might be thinking, oh, well, this won't work for me. I thought the same thing too. Like literally, I learned this concept from Thomas Frank First, this YouTuber, and I was like, no, that's not gonna work for me. I wish I would have listened to him because I actually would have started doing the things I need to do a lot sooner rather than later. But I didn't listen to him, and that was my L. So hopefully you don't take the same L I did, and you actually think about what are things you actually love to do, and then how can you pair that to the thing you want to get done. And of course, there's more complexity behind it, but I'm not going to go too deep into that because that will make this video a lot longer. I do have a video on pleasure and how to use it to your advantage. So if I can find that video, I'll have it linked up, but if not, I don't know what to tell you. But that's it. If you can plan and motivate yourself through rewards, you will actually do what you're going to say. And notice how all these things are simple. It's not hard to do what you want to do. It's very simple. And I think that's what blows many people, because they suspect it's going to be hard. And they overlook the simple things. But it's the simple things that really get you to the top. Now, if you watched this far into the video and you have not yet subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because why would you take this long to not subscribe? You obviously like what I'm saying. So go ahead and join the group. Go ahead and join me, you know? Give me a thumbs up. Go ahead and support your girl. And comment. Let me know what you want to do. And see if you can make a plan in the comments. And I can go through and we can have a conversation and figure this stuff out, alright? But as always, remember, take action, stay consistent. What could always happen. And I will see you later.